One of the big things that I see happening in real estate today is the people that are selling their homes are convinced that they need to stage them and they have a lot of furniture brought in. And that's just not right. It's a waste of money for the home sellers to do that. It's a lot of time for the agents to arrange it all. But mainly, they don't do it very well and they put too much in the houses. And when a buyer comes to look at a house, they want to visualize their own things in the home. So I recommend lots of mirrors and big landscape paintings, not a lot of little things all over the place and nothing on the counters. They put stuff all over the counters and I don't like it.
I can feel it.
Yeah. But so selling a home is not that it is very easy, but also there's one thing I would caution people, and I want to get this out there before I forget this.
Hi, and welcome to the Entrepreneur Freedom Solutions Show. And today we've got a treat for you. I have Jeanette Joy Fisher, and she's a former professor and author. And here's the thing, she taught real estate investing, design psychology, which she's going to explain to you, and she used that on how to fix and flip houses. And another kind of very unique thing about her is she's got the chops because she was on TLC's Flip That House. So, hello, Joy. Welcome.
Good to be here. Thank you for having me, Eric.
You're welcome.
Excited.
Well, let's just jump in. So, tell me about all this real estate stuff and why it's important.
Well, everyone needs a home, as we all know today, especially. But real estate has been the one consistent thing in my life that has brought me money. I lost money in it, but eventually it always comes back. And I think it's the best way for people to have long-term income. And the sooner they get in it, the better. And I've got lots of ways I can share with them on how to make money in real estate.
Yes, awesome. So what are some of the common myths around this, and how would you debunk them?
Well, there are especially a lot of myths about selling houses, and we can get into that more if you want. One of the big things that I see happening in real estate today is the people that are selling their homes are convinced that they need to stage them and they have a lot of furniture brought in. And that's just not right. It's a waste of money for the home sellers to do that. It's a lot of time for the agents to arrange it all. But mainly, they don't do it very well and they put too much in the houses. And when a buyer comes to look at a house, they want to visualize their own things in the home. So I recommend lots of mirrors and big landscape paintings, not a lot of little things all over the place and nothing on the counters. They put stuff all over the counters and I don't like it.
I can feel it.
Yeah. But so selling a home is not that it is very easy, but also there's one thing I would caution people, and I want to get this out there before I forget this, because I sold my big estate home about a year ago, and I thought I was moving into another house on the lake and everything was just wonderful. And COVID came along and I lost my live event business. So I no longer qualified, even with half down. And I'm a senior, so I could do the reverse mortgage. But nowadays they've changed the reverse mortgage laws and you've got to have income. And I didn't have sufficient income. So I didn't get to move into the big fancy house. But I left the mansion house and I moved into one of my rental homes. But I discovered I like living in a smaller home. And who would have known? I've always lived in these big fancy houses because I had so many children. But I like living in my little Hollywood bungalow. It's cozy, it's warm, it's easy to take care of. And it's just a different kind of lifestyle. And I'm really happy. So I would never have found that out if I hadn't had this last experience with having this forced move. But I'm so lucky that I had a place to go to.
Yeah.
So anyway, my caution for real estate salespeople is when you list your house for sale and you sell your house, you must put a clause in there that it's contingent upon seller finding suitable housing. I did not put that clause in because I had no idea that would happen to me. And been a licensed agent since 1970s.
Yeah. Yeah. So you know the drill.
Yeah, and I didn't do that, and I could not get out of selling my house. These people were determined to have my house, and I just was like devastated for a while. So I just want to caution home sellers to be very careful when you're selling your house, that you know that you're definitely getting a place, but just put that one little sentence in there.
Yes.
Contingent upon seller finding suitable housing, and then you'll
Yes.
be safe.
Yes.
Because a buyer can always get out. All they have to do is say, "I lost my job," and they're
Right.
free. They get their deposit back.
So, any like one big myth about uh, real estate as a investment and income source?
Well, there's a lot of controversy about the best thing to buy and where to buy it. I always like to have my houses nearby, but I do have friends who buy houses out of state and they have somebody else manage them and they're doing really well. But there's a system where you buy a house with cash. Say you have $100,000 and you can buy a house in Memphis or someplace like that for $100,000 and you get $1,000 a month. Well, all of this has all changed because COVID has changed the price of houses. So now those houses that were 100,000 probably are more like 150,000, maybe even 200,000.
Yeah.
And you're going to be getting $2,000 a month rent. But it changes everything. And then what's going to happen when we have our next crash? Because the real estate market always comes back down. It always does. And I know that we need a lot of houses, but you know where the houses are going down in value now? Are the big 20,000 square foot houses in California. They
Wow.
had one, they thought they were going to sell it for 150 million. And I think they got really lucky, about 15 million or something. People are not going for those big mega mansions like they used to,
Yeah.
and they want to have a nice house, but they don't want to have something that's just like a monster to take care of anymore.
Sure.
So I think there are a lot of wealthy people and they always want something really nice. And they like to have the big fancy houses with the big rooms and everything. But how that makes you feel, unless you have a lot of people in that space, you feel kind of lost and you feel more insignificant, like the house is more important than you are. And now I live in a jewel box and I get to be the jewel. My house, it might be big to other people, it's 2,300 square feet. But when you're coming from 5, 6,000, 7,000 square foot homes, it seems kind of small. But like in the 50s, the average house that they were selling was 1,400 square feet. And today it's more like 4,000 square feet. So I think that we're going to be coming to more about 2,000 square feet being a nice size for a home. You can get 4 bedrooms in there and you can have privacy and everything.
That's pretty much exactly what I have. Yeah.
Yeah. And you need an office. I made my living room into my office because I wanted a fireplace and I need it going.
So let me ask you, what brought you into this, and who do you serve when you're working with folks?
Well, I got married very young and my husband and I, we found a real estate agent who could help us get a house for only $600 down. And so we bought this house. It was a VA loan on it. And we just gave them $600 to take over their loan. And that was very lucky for us because it was Huntington Beach. The one thing I wish I had known, though, was not to sell that house, was just refinance it, keep it, because we moved to another house that was bigger. If I still owned that house today, it'd be worth $1 million.
Yeah.
And I sold for like 48,000 or something ridiculous way back in the 70s.
Yeah.
So you've got to realize that if you keep your houses, you're doing better than if you sell them, I think.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good insight. So maybe, way to kind of focus in is tell me about someone that you coached or mentored, and like what's the real transformation that you create?
Okay, so I had a friend and she taught me how to sell HUD repos. She was a real estate broker and
what does that term mean?
HUD is it's the government program for HUD housing, and they have repos. I don't know if they have them anymore, but
and what's a repo?
Repossessed house.
Got it.
So
Okay.
She taught us how to do that. And then we moved to Florida and she came out to Florida to visit us and she fell in love with our house. well, we were coming back to California and she bought our house in Florida. This is back in 1998. And she retired and she lived there. And I saw the house for sale just the other day and I looked at it. And guess what? She liked my interior design so well that it was still the same. And I mean, 24 years later, it still has my colors, my red rouge bedroom, and the stencils that I custom made that went around the tall ceilings.
Yeah,
They were
yeah.
still there. And I realized she really loved my tint of honey color, and I still use that color.
Mhm.
And so she taught me one thing, but I taught her another thing. And so I always learn something when I go to live in a house too, about the design psychology of it. And but I can tell you also that I lived in Florida, and that's where I discovered design psychology. Now, I went to Orange Coast College here in California to be an interior designer. So I thought I knew everything about interior design. And we had this big 7-bedroom house. And my 10-year-old daughter stepped through the kitchen floor because it was all wet when she was doing dishes and she got
Oh
all wet.
my.
And it was about a 4-foot drop. She didn't get hurt. But then when we discovered the whole flooring under the subflooring was rotten, the whole house
Oh,
was built, the kitchen was added on in the 50s, but the house was built very well in 1878 with big beams and big, it was a beautiful, it's still a big, beautiful house. And the kitchen had cardboard walls. They were painted over and it was stuffed newspaper insulation with
wow.
raggedy old extension cords for the wiring.
Oh
And so
man.
my
You're
husband and
lucky it didn't burn.
yeah, they took everything down and they had put in new subflooring and it took a month. I mean, we were uh, barbecuing and washing dishes in the bathroom.
Right.
It was like ridiculous. Uh, Too much eating out and all that. But anyway, by the time we got this kitchen redone, I did my interior design on the kitchen and then it didn't feel right. And I told my husband, it doesn't feel right. I don't know what did I do wrong? I mean, this is what I learned how to do. It's
Right.
like having
Right.
fun designing this. And so I went with my son, who's now an architect and went to Harvard, but he went to University of Florida in Gainesville. And I went with him over to the architectural library and he showed me how to research on microfiche.
Yes.
This is back in the 80s. And so I studied interior design backwards. I took all the elements of interior design and researched how they make you feel. So design psychology is all about emotional support for doing the activity that you want to do in that space.
Mhm.
An office would be designed different than a bedroom or a family room.
Sure.
And so, but I like to have all the same colors flowing through the home because it makes you feel like everything goes together so well, especially if the floor plan isn't really great. But anyway, so that's what design psychology is all about.
Yes, I got it. So, um, are there some specific roadblocks that people might encounter, that they should be watching out for if they're thinking about, oh, wow, I listened to what Joy had to say, and I've heard some other things, and real estate investing, I just buy a place and rent it out and I'm all set. But are there some specific roadblocks to watch out for?
Well, you always want to buy location. I mean, I know everybody knows location, 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 but also you can look for areas that are up and coming. I mean, Detroit used to be where you could just go and walk in and get a house for free. They'd give it to you. Well, now it's been gentrified. So, you can buy in an area and it might not be really nice right now, but you come back years later, like I did here in Orange County. There was an area that was like you just didn't go to that area. And I got off the freeway and I go, oh no, I turned off in the wrong place. And then I'm
Right.
looking and I go, oh my gosh, these are $1 million houses. They have
Yeah.
taken them and made them really beautiful and the neighborhood's all turned around. So I think it depends. I would not buy too rural because everybody needs to be closer to town. And I've found that living closer to town has been really nice. But rural can be where you get a good bargain and you can make money off of them. I
Mhm.
think you need to buy a house that you could see yourself living in because then you can kind of have some feelings for the home. And it's
Mhm.
really about how you fix it up for the person coming to rent it. I mean, so many investors just go in there and they just paint everything white to sell a house.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay, so it looks nice and people will come and buy it because there's such a market for that. But what if they were wanting to buy a house, fix it up and rent it? Now, that was what we did a lot. And a lot of people, they think they have to buy a house, fix it up and sell it. But if you do that, take your money and buy two. If you sell your first house and buy two houses, and then you keep one and you sell the second one, and then you do that, and the next time you buy, you keep doing that. So you always have another rental, but you're always having a house to fix and flip. That's
So
really
you
what
sort of
it's
flip
about.
one and so you have these two different ways to earn income. One is the flip and the
Mhm.
other is the longer term rental income.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that way you can stop flipping houses and still have rental income.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
market
And
isn't
sometimes you
yeah.
reach a point where it's like, well, that was fun for a while, but I'm kind of like, let's do something else.
Well, it really depends because my husband and I and our children, we did the work. We painted, we did the landscaping, we did everything. Later on, he did have a crew of a couple of guys that worked for him, but he still was there. He was a special ed teacher and he would work on the houses. And then when we moved back to California, that's all we did is flip houses. And he actually died when we were doing a show on Flip That House
I'm
during
sorry.
that
Yeah.
episode. It was very sad, but and I kept flipping houses. I've flipped several since.
Yeah.
Not as many.
I understand.
But
I
it's more
understand.
expensive having people work on them, and it's really hard to get the workers right now. So I'm not flipping any houses. I'm building.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's a new law in California called for accessory dwelling units. It's ADU, accessory dwelling unit. And you can divide your land and put one or two ADUs in your backyard. So they also call them backyard homes. And so what I'm doing is I'm helping other people buy property that has space for an ADU so that they can have that built so that they can have some help paying their mortgage if
I
they
got
need
it.
it.
Yeah. So you have your primary home, but you also have this accessory home that generates some rental income for you.
Right.
And you don't have
And
to, I mean, and you've already owned the property. So, I mean, you have to deal with construction. I can see the logic in that. I'd want to see the business case, but yeah, I think it holds together. Yeah.
and then you have a place for your adult children to come back or your
Oh,
parents. I don't like to call them granny flats because I am the grandmother and I'm the one that's building it. I'm
right.
not going to live in somebody else's backyard house. I have my own house, but
Right.
I'm building such a cute one. I think maybe I wouldn't mind living in it and rent out my big house.
Uh-huh. Well, I mean, you
Yeah,
have options, right?
yeah.
That's a nice
Well,
thing.
I have a koi pond in my backyard and at my ADU, so I have a view right smack looking at that koi pond.
Yes. Yes. And we've talked about that. So, if you had to, is like, well, let me just put it this way. Like, I'm there. Do you have a golden nugget? Like, what do you, maybe you wish that you'd known when you were starting out, or like if there's one thing I want you to leave with, that's what?
Take that step. You're going to be sorry when you don't buy that house one day. Don't let fear overcome you. Figure out a way to get your credit score high enough. And I can also help people with their credit. I forgot about that. I wrote a book on credit help, but you need to have a really good credit score and you need to have good income. So there's lots of ways for seniors to get a reverse mortgage and to make income that they might not know about, but some of those are like doing a room rental. And there's actually a website now that's all about teaching people how to rent out rooms in their home so they can have extra income. And so you can do that. And, the thing is get started somewhere.
Yes.
Get your
Yes.
parents to go in our house with you or do something to get that first property. And then from there, you can springboard it into more.
Yes. And there are a lot of options for which ways to go. So I'll tell you, is there a question that you'd wished I'd asked you? And if so, how would you have answered?
Oh, I think I would like to talk about tiny houses because being a minimalist, I've discovered that tiny home living is really good if you design your home the right way. And I don't like the tiny houses on wheels because they depreciate in value instead of going up in value. And they're too small. They're too narrow. So
Mhm.
tiny house living, if you do it just a little bit bigger, it can be wonderful. And I would point out that people don't need as many things as they have. And if something's not taking care of you, get rid of it. Just have stuff that takes care of you to take care of. You don't want
Yes.
a lot of stuff to take care of. You want to do things and read things and learn and explore the world and have a good time. You don't want to be cleaning house all the time, right?
I'm with you. I am with you.
Yeah, so
So,
be open to different ways of real estate. But you can build a tiny house or buy a tiny house. People love them. They make great Airbnb rentals. We didn't get into that too much because I'm not doing that because my city doesn't allow it.
right.
Uh, But
A topic for another day then.
yeah, that's another way to make, there's so many ways to make money in real estate. But I do have an ebook.
Oh,
um,
yeah, I was gonna, so let me, so how can people get in touch with you and all that kind of stuff? So,
Okay, well, I'm Jeanette Joy everywhere. Look me up. And it's Jeanette, Jeanette, Joy. Jeanette has one N, two T's, and three E's. That's how you know you spelled it right. Okay, JeanetteJoy.com. And my ebook is on how to get started in real estate. But you can also email me.
and that's at what, is there a link that they can go to for that?
Yeah,
For the,
JeanetteJoy.com/real estate for the mini ebook on how to get started in real
Mhm.
estate. I might just throw my credit book up there too, because I can do that.
Sure.
Because everybody needs to know more about credit, I think. And yeah, credit is gold. But there's also, we didn't talk about one more thing. I just remembered hard money loans. Hard money loans are a good way to get started if you don't have the credit and you don't have enough income. But be very careful.
So I don't know
But
what that
they are
means,
good.
but
They're good. Yeah, they're a good way to make money on flipping houses. So Jeanette Joy at Gmail, and I guess that's it.
JeanetteJoy.com/real estate for
Mhm.
the ebook, and
Right.
then JeanetteJoy@gmail.com to contact you
Contact.
directly.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, this has been really fun. And it's like, I can tell you have so much you could share. I mean, we just really didn't have time to cover everything, but what we did cover has been super helpful, and I think people are going to be very excited to have a chance to hear what you have to say. So thank
Thank
you.
you.
I do appreciate it, Joy.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm happy to answer any questions on real estate. Thank you.
Okay, so that's it for today's show, and thanks very much, and thank you, Joy. Take care.